My name is John Arthur. I am a teacher in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. I work with students who are about 11 and 12 years old. We call it sixth grade here. And I teach all subjects: math, science, social studies, language arts. Um, I was the 2021 Utah Teacher of the Year, and I was also a finalist for the National Teacher of the Year here in the United States.
Oh, that's really great. So before I start this session of interaction with my students, I would like to ask you the right question. That is, you have been named as a 2021 Utah Teacher of the Year and as well as the National Teacher Finalist. Could you please tell us something about the achievement that you have achieved? Maybe it's a lifetime achievement, I think.
It is for me in my career. It's a lifetime achievement. It's
Yeah.
very special. I'll tell you that as a teacher, I'm only as good as my students. And if I've been recognized for great work, it's because my students have completed great work. They've worked hard, they've done great things. And any achievement I receive as a teacher is just a reflection of how wonderful my students are and how much effort they have put into their learning.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
I am fine, sir. This is Subramanya Srinivas, a 7th grade student from Z.P.H.S School, Ilavaram. I would like to ask a question. Can I ask, sir?
Please do.
What is the famous school in Utah?
The most famous school in Utah? You know what? That's a great question. I don't know if I can identify one school as the most famous, but I'd like to think that given the attention that my school has received, that Meadowlark Elementary is the #1 school in the state of Utah. But I could be biased. I may just love it so much that that's just how I feel.
So it's not bias, I think.
Thank you, sir.
So your school deserves the reputation because of your efforts.
I love it.
Mama,
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing so well. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir. My name is Mamata. I'm a 7th grader. I'm from Z.P.H.S School, Ilavaram. Can I ask one question, sir?
Yes, please.
What is Utah best known for?
Utah is known for several things. Maybe the thing we're best known for is we have a giant inland lake that is saltwater. It's a body of salt water. It's known as the Great Salt Lake. And people come from all over the country and all around the world to see this Great Salt Lake. I would say we're also known for our beautiful mountains. We like to say that we have the best snow on earth, and so people like to come here and ski or sled or just hike in our gorgeous mountains.
wow.
Hello, sir. My name is Jagdish. I am studying 8th grade Z.P.H.S School, Ilavaram. Here, my question is, could you please tell us about professional development programs of your region?
The professional development programs in
Yes.
terms of becoming a teacher or
Yes.
just generally for all professions?
Only for teachers, meant for teachers.
Only meant for teachers. Perfect. So there are many professional development programs. Most teachers come up through university programs where we study to become teachers, and we also study general education issues. Once you're a teacher, though, you still need to continue your learning. We're never done being students. And so we choose different professional development programs that help us become better in different areas, whether it's how much you understand about a subject or just your general, what we call pedagogy, your teaching practices. I also am actually the co-director of a program that teaches teachers how to become leaders, how to try and shape laws and policies that affect everything that we do in the classroom. So I'm a teacher of students as well as a teacher of adults and future teachers.
What is your style of teaching?
My style of teaching. That's a great question. I like to think that I have different styles that I use on different days, but I would say that the foundation of my teaching is what I would call relational teaching. So I build strong relationships with my students. I get to know them and their families, and I try to design my lessons and the things that I really want to focus on with my students around what I know about my students, what I think will not only serve them in the classroom, but will serve them in life and help make them more successful, no matter what it is that they choose to pursue, and meets the needs that they have on every single given day, or just given what is going on in their world at that time.
Wow. So, John, I have a question related to this. There might
Please.
be some students who are not performing well academically. Of course, there are some
Hmm.
students in each and every classroom. I think we find that situation. Even in India,
Absolutely.
we find some students who are struggling to cope up with the other students. So, if you find such students, would like to give them a remedial teaching, or what kind of strategy or techniques or methods you would like to implement when it comes to these kids?
Mm. Well, I again like to tailor my strategies to the individual students. So I have to start by asking, why are they struggling? Why are they not being successful? If it's a uh, an academic piece that I can deal with through remediation, then I'll do it, whether it's in small group or one-on-one reading strategies, mathematical strategies, scientific understandings. I'll do that. But oftentimes, students who are struggling in class are struggling because something's going on in their life. And so if that's the issue, I like to get to the root cause rather than just dealing with the symptoms. Sometimes failure in school is a symptom of something bigger. And if failure in school is merely a lack of understanding for the concept being studied, then I like to just bring in um, strategies that provide a lot of practice, a lot of opportunities to feel successful, and that just very systematically build up the skills that are missing.
So you are currently teaching for the primary school students. That means from
Yes.
grade, what grades do you usually deal with when you're at school?
Yeah, so I personally teach sixth grade. We would call that a primary school. It's the last grade of primary school here, so 11 and 12-year-olds, but I interact throughout the day with kids of all ages from about 5 years old on up to 12. But I teach one grade level, all subjects within that grade level, and I've done that for about 7 years now.
Wow. So here also the teacher who deals with the primary school students are supposed to teach all subjects. So that means
Hmm.
you need to master all the subjects. What subjects do you usually teach for your students?
I, like I said, teach all of them, and as you're hinting there, that can be hard to master so many subjects, but it's also fun and exciting every single day. The subjects I teach every single day are mathematics, as well as language arts, so reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And then a few days a week, I'll teach science, as well as a few days a week social studies. So history, geography, government, civics, these types of topics. And my students also are pretty well known for videos that they create and share on YouTube. Um, our channel is Ninth Evermore, the number nine TH Evermore. And so, in order to create videos or podcasts or other digital content, I have to teach my students how to use the equipment and tools that they need. So, cameras, microphones, computer software for editing. So, I spend a good deal of time working with technology with my students as well.
Yeah. So, in which area your students are a bit, they struggle a lot to understand, maybe in which area of subject they feel a bit difficult to understand?
Well, I'll tell you, maybe it's the area where they struggle the most, but it's also an area where their brilliance is allowed to come through is language arts, so reading and writing, because here in the United States, we have a lot of diversity. People from all over the world have come to the United States to live. My mother, for example, is Korean. So I'm half Korean, and then my father was a soldier from the United States who was stationed in Korea. My students, the majority of them come from Latino homes. So their families come from countries like Mexico, Venezuela, um, Peru, Guatemala. And so they speak Spanish at home, not English. So my students are bilingual oftentimes, and that is again a blessing and a gift, but it does make mastering English in the classroom more difficult. It can make reading and writing more challenging. I also had 4 students this year who only spoke Spanish, who didn't speak any English. So I had to use my Google Translator quite a bit to try and meet their needs and make sure that they were getting the fullest experience out of school that they possibly could. But that obviously makes language arts pretty tough.
Yes. So I have been to USA as a part of Fulbright exchange program in the year 2022.
Wow.
I happened to visit some of the middle schools.
Okay.
After my trip, I understood the one thing from my little experience that most of the kids are studying in that particular part of USA are not good at writing literally, and they are using all digital gadgets and the digital devices to answer the questions. But when it comes to ask them to write something on a piece of paper, they really struggle a lot. So then I asked
It's true.
who was there. I think she told me that these kids are so used to use the electronic gadgets and the electronic devices rather than writing oral. Do you think that this is the area that students from USA is lacking behind in the area of writing on a piece of paper? Do you think that?
I would absolutely agree with that. I think that given the just how many digital devices we have here and how much time our kids spend with their thumbs texting messages or with their fingers typing out whatever it is they want to say, that definitely handwriting has suffered. I can from my own personal experience say that my students' handwriting this last year was probably the worst that it's ever been in my class. But then the question becomes, how big of an issue is that? I think it matters. I think handwriting absolutely matters. But, at the same time, for many, many years, especially in my school experience, we learned how to write in cursive. But nobody needs cursive anymore. The same way that we learned Roman numerals, but no one really uses Roman numerals anymore. Is handwriting going to become a thing of the past? Is handwriting going to become this thing that used to be used that we will tell our grandchildren about? I used to use a pencil and put it to paper and create pictures and words on paper. And they're like, why did you do that? It's like, that's all we had. It could be. It could become that handwriting doesn't matter that much anymore. But it does break my heart a little bit watching kids struggle and turn in papers that are oftentimes illegible, where I have to look at my students and say, what on earth does this say? I have no idea what you've written here. And they'll say, don't worry, I typed it too. It's like, breaks my heart a little bit. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yes. So fortunately, we have partnered with one of the schools located in United States of America. It's in Nebraska. One primary school students. They have been exchanging the letters with my students for
Oh, wonderful.
3 years. So we get the letters through courier and we send them also the same mode of transportation. So
Okay.
my students understood that we expect the United States of American students to be master of the English language, and then it comes to the cursive writing. But how terrible they wrote. So most of
It's
my students, most of my students, they asked me the same question again and again. Yes. Sai Nagastri,
I
are
was
you
gonna
ready?
say, did your students have a hard time reading it? Was it hard to
Yeah,
understand what had been
some
written?
students they didn't understand anything. Then they suggested me to point out those words, and I myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hello.
I'm Sasha, a sound creator from Z.P.H.S Ilavaram. Here my question is, how do you teach all subjects for students?
Love teaching all subjects. Hare Krishna, do you teach all subjects?
In fact, I am working at a secondary school, so I am supposed to teach only one subject, that is English.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you, I I love teaching all subjects because I can make connections every day across subjects. So, for example, when I'm teaching mathematics, we talk about the independent and dependent variable within an algebraic expression. And then I teach science, and we use that same language, an independent variable and a dependent variable in an experiment. And then when I teach my English lessons, we talk about independent clauses and dependent clauses within sentences, things that can stand on their own and things that are dependent upon other parts of the sentence to make sense of what is going on and what is trying to be communicated. And to be able to do that every day, and I feel like I'm more able to have those moments because I do teach all subjects. And it takes more time to plan, it takes more time to study myself. But as I said before, teachers are students, and I love learning. I love getting the chance to deepen my own understandings of how the world works and how we represent that operation through mathematical symbols or scientific theories. And so it's exciting to me. I love teaching all subjects because that means I get to grow more just as a human being.
Yes, I do agree with you, John. Teaching one particular subject can make us, I think, to understand the student's mindset to only to some extent. But teaching
Uh-huh.
all subjects, we can read the entire the students' minds. So that's really awesome. Really, really great opportunity.
Yeah,
All the subjects. It's a very unique
I
opportunity.
feel blessed.
Yes. Nandini, over to you.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. This is Nandini, an 8th grader from Z.P.H.S School Ilavaram. Here, my question is, what schools are popular in your school, public or private?
Hmm. That's a great question. Public schools are more common and I would say more popular. I'd say about 90, I think it's about 95% of students in the United States attend a public school. But um, but private schools are growing, and students in the United States have a lot of options when it comes to school. So they're very able, if their neighborhood public school, the school that's closest to their house, isn't the best fit for them, they have choices where they can go to another school that's nearby, or they could go to a private school, or they could even attend school online. Uh, we even have a movement growing in the United States of micro schools, which are small, small schools. You would almost want to call them a tutoring center where one or maybe a couple of teachers are teaching throughout the day and tailoring their instruction to their kids and community. So there's a lot of different learning setups that you can find here in the United States to try and meet kids' needs.
Okay, thank you. John, what is more challenging? Is it a teaching at a primary level or teaching at a secondary level? Which one you think is the most challenging thing?
I mean, I personally think that teaching at I don't know. That's a great question. They both come with challenges. I would say I'm a primary teacher and I was born to be one. It suits my personality. It suits my the level of interaction I want to have with my students. I don't know that I could have as meaningful a teaching experience if I had hundreds of students just cycling through my classroom every day, having the same group of 25 kids all day long. It just suits me. I think that it may be more challenging what I do, certainly from like a planning perspective. If I could just plan 2 or 3 lessons a day and then deliver it over and over again, that would be much easier than planning 7 hours of instruction that's all different throughout the day. Um, but then if you're teaching at secondary level, you have to deal with teenagers and all that they bring to the table, and students who are bigger than you staring down at you all the time. I don't know. I find that intimidating, I think.
Yes.
What do you think? What's more challenging in your mind?
I think I do agree with you. I think teaching primary is absolutely is a bit challenging because I too worked as a primary school teacher in the beginning of my career. So
Uh-huh.
comparing with that experience with the current experience, I think that I must say that the primary school teaching is always tougher for me to deal with because it
Mhm.
requires a lot of patience and it requires a lot of skills and it requires many more things that you need to adopt. So
Yeah.
I personally respect the primary school teachers because they every day they have many students to deal with, many challenges to deal with. So that hats up to them.
Hey, I respect the secondary teachers too. You got plenty of challenges on your plate as well.
Yes. So when an young teacher, a dynamic young teacher is teaching innovatively in a school, you have been into a public system for many years. If a
Mhm.
teacher is doing well or making a progress at a particular school, so how this particular teacher is recognized in your region? And is there
Mm.
anyone who can recognize his potentiality as a teacher? And is there someone who can recommend the government to give him a particular award or reward for his services? So what should be the mechanism behind recognizing the best teachers in your region?
Wow. That's a really great question. And it speaks to the, I don't know, kind of the challenge, I would say, of identifying teachers who go above and beyond in terms of their performance and
Yes.
what they do with kids. I I honestly don't know how to answer that question because I personally feel like all teachers are deserving of recognition. And I think that anybody who, as an adult, decides that they want to spend their professional life educating and uplifting children deserves recognition just out of the gate. And then once you're in the classroom and you're doing excellent work, I think that recognition should come in the form of uh, celebrations, ceremonies, awards, of course, but more importantly, I think that there needs to be, at least in our education system in the United States, more room for growth professionally. I think that there should be positions, what we would call teacher leaders, where teachers could grow in their career to spend, let's say, half their time in the classroom and half their time sharing their best practices with their colleagues, whether in their own school, in their district, in their state, or throughout the country, that are formalized positions and recognized so that we can take not just our best and brightest and celebrate them, but take our best and brightest teachers and use what they have built in their own skill sets and share it with as many teachers as possible and spread those best practices. So it's not just the students of those particular teachers who get the benefit of their expertise and their brilliance, but all kids can start to benefit from the lessons that these teachers have learned in their classrooms. And in doing that work, I think that they should be paid more. I think they should be recognized financially. I think that they should be receive benefits of some sort, something that makes it an incentive for teachers to spend time out of the classroom. Because for me personally, my favorite place to be is in the classroom. So anytime I spend out of it helping other teachers, I love to do it, but it does take away from my happy place and from my own students. So we have to have recognitions set up for teachers who have not only perfected their craft, but are willing to be selfless with it and give what they've learned to others.
Yeah, in case of India, in our region, we have to make our self-nominations to the education department. So they just look through our achievements and they declare an award as per the merits and demerits of the particular teacher. The regional level award, and there is a state level award, and then again the country level award. The three stages you can get these three awards depending upon your performance and your ability and your influence. How well you are influencing the students, and how well you are making the progress in your teaching areas. So it all counts like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, please go.
Well, I'll just say that's very different from here in that here you cannot nominate yourself. You have to be nominated by somebody else. And so for me, I was nominated by my school principal for where our system is divided up into districts. So I had to be nominated to win my district award. And in that process, I had to find 3 people who would write letters saying that they also agree that I'm a great teacher. And then after that, all the district winners go into I hate to say competition, but basically a competition into a pool for the state level. And then I was the 2021 Utah Teacher of the Year. And then all the state level teachers get put into the national. And I was one of the top 4 finalists in the national competition. But again, you can't just stand up in a room and say, I'm the best. I crush it. I do great work. Look at my students. Somebody else has to see it and say, you know what, they are a great teacher. They're doing great work. They deserve this award. And so there's a lot of great teachers out there who are quietly toiling in the classroom, doing amazing things, but they don't get noticed. And I wish that our system had a means of giving teachers the opportunity to stand up for themselves and say, I do great work. Let me show you how and why I do it. That would be a nice addition. I wish we had that here.
Yes. So how is the promotion? If you are currently working as a primary school teacher, would you like to be upgraded to the next level, maybe the secondary school teacher or principal or any other promotions? Do you have any promotion channel?
So that's what I was kind of speaking to earlier. We don't, and I wish that we did. We do have, it's not a promotion necessarily, but I could leave teaching and become a principal, or I could leave teaching and I could go work for an education company. But if you want to stay a teacher, you know, primary teachers and secondary teachers in the United States, we get paid the same amount. There's not a hierarchy between secondary and primary. So it's not like if I left the primary school and went to the secondary school, it would be a promotion. I would just be doing a different teaching job. But what I want to see is a new job for teachers, a job that is half teaching and half leading. And that's what I'm trying to build here with friends and colleagues in the United States. I don't know if you know who LeBron James is. He's a basketball player. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yes, I heard about it.
Yeah. So LeBron James is one of the best athletes and basketball players in the world. And it would be tragic if somebody went up to LeBron James and said, you know, LeBron James, you're an amazing basketball player. You are the best of the best at what you do. You know what you should do? You should leave what you do and become a coach, or you should leave what you do and become someone who helps run the organization. Why would you ever ask somebody who is talented at a particular thing to leave that just so they could go do something else that's like kind of related? That's why I don't think I will ever be a principal. I want to be a classroom teacher forever. I could do other things on top of it, but teaching is, like I said, it's my joy. It's not my job, it's my joy. This is what I love to do. And so until they create a new pathway where I can keep doing what I love to do and advance, I'm gonna have to just keep on doing what I do and not enjoy the joys of promotion.
So I absolutely respect your passion towards the teaching. So I wish that your dreams will come true in future. And so I wish that many
Thank you.
awards will come in your way to recognize your talent, not just in Utah and beyond that limits. You will get the recognition very soon. So thank you so much for your time, and we really enjoyed a lot. We look forward to collaborate with you and with your students also. So
I would love that.
before we wind up this session, could you please give a final message to my students?
Yes. The final message always has pressure because you want to say the perfect thing. I will just say this, that you students with your teacher are so blessed because I I as I said, have all this technology in my classroom, and I have not used it nearly enough to open up the doors and the walls of my classroom to bring in incredible people. You're gonna have to come into my classroom, Hare Krishna, because I want my students to meet you and to be informed by all that you know and all that you do. You have been given a gift here, and I hope that you appreciate it. I hope that you maximize it, students, and I hope that you recognize always that with hard work and a desire and a clear goal in mind that you can make anything happen in life.